Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video. So today I'm going to be going over a rant by everyone's favorite socialist, AOC. This is a short snippet of her longer rant, but I really couldn't suffer through all of it, so we're just going to have to go over the highlights in this video. And I know AOC loves to rant about capitalism and preach about all that good government ownership of the means of production, but this video was shot in honor of MLK Day. She did one last year, and I'm sorry to say that the insanity hasn't gotten better. But I guess that's okay because she's literally the best reason for any sane person to vote conservative. So with that being said, let's take a look.
No one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion. First of all, it's like we have to update, what is it, Mark Twain, that says, everyone's just a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. Now everyone's a temporarily embarrassed billionaire. And this idea that that we can't, and also in a democracy, the government is us. Like, can we just remember that when we fight for full enfranchisement, when we don't deny the vote, when we don't have subjects, when we fight for a democracy for the people and by the people, the government is the public. And the public decides what is good for itself. And I think that the public has decided that healthcare as a right is worth fighting for, just like education and just like housing. But the problem is all of where the power has already been concentrated, and that having to break that monopoly on power or oligopoly on power.
Okay, so big red flags going off right now when she makes her point that it's the public who is the government. I love that. It's the public, guys. And this is really just complete ignorance to the corrupting influence that power has on people. And she's trying to gaslight everyone to make it seem like everyone who votes for her and her policies, they're a part of the government, they're a part of the solution, right? And there will always be a divide between the public and the government. That's why when looking at the transition from a socialist to a communist country, in theory, the government seizes the means of production socialism to the point where eventually communism has no government and everyone lives in a utopia. This has and never will be the case. It will never work. And when you listen to rhetoric like AOC saying that we are the government, that's absolutely false, as the moment people give the government more power, the power and freedom of the individual is decreased. That's just undeniable. So anyone who's watching this and thinks, yeah, more power to the people, just be skeptical. Recognize that nobody, especially AOC, is going to have the willpower to resist corruption. She also makes a point that the public decides what is best for the public. So woke. And no, this again shows just how little understanding she has of our governing system and the problem with majority rule. It's called tyranny of the masses and results when the majority pursues its own interests at the expense of the minority. So no, just because the public wants something doesn't make it inherently good, and I really hope that people recognize that.
I just want to drill down that a little bit more though. Why specifically does, I'm Joe Billionaire, I made widgets, I sold those widgets, I made billions of dollars, selling those widgets, making those widgets. Therefore, those billions of dollars are mine. Why am I the enemy of healthcare?
Well, you didn't make those widgets, did you? Because you employed thousands of people and paid them less than a living wage to make those widgets for you. You didn't make those widgets. You sat on a couch while thousands of people were paid modern day slave wages, and in some cases real modern day slavery, depending on where you are in terms of food production. You made that money off the backs of undocumented people. You made that money off of the backs of black and brown people being paid off a living wage, under a living wage. You made that money off of the backs of single mothers, and all of these people who are literally dying because they can't afford to live. And so no one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion.
Damn, what a headline. Not like that wasn't planned for. But yeah, guys, these billionaires are causing people to literally die. Literally. So yeah, this is really hurting my brain because it shows such a lack of understanding about how capitalism works. So we have to remember that these people agree to work for an employer voluntarily, keyword voluntarily, on an agreed upon wage which is so evil, guys. It's so evil. So no, this isn't slavery, and saying that really undermines what slavery is actually like. And I'm going to try and explain why her hate for billionaires is just plain idiocy. She should be loving billionaires, honestly. So for example, let's take the widget maker, right? This hypothetical widget maker. She really undermines the importance of what a CEO does for a company. This individual assumes all risk in case of a failure, and also has the ingenuity to recognize that the public might have a demand for widgets if he's successful. And anyone with the right training here can make a widget, and that's why their work is not seen as valuable as the person who started the widget company in the first place. And if the employee does not like the environment of the company, he can leave at any time, which is the complete opposite of slavery. And yes, I'm gonna admit, there are times where crony capitalism is involved. People work in terrible conditions because they have no other option. That should be addressed. That's undeniable. But to act like all billionaires are evil and did not work a day in their life is just pure nonsense. The majority of billionaires have actually helped this economy expand for millions of people. Like I said, billionaires have made everyone's lives better. Amazon in specific was started in a garage and now has revolutionized how products can reach consumers, making everyone's lives better and more efficient. And what would we do without Microsoft? I definitely wouldn't be typing right now off my Windows computer, that's for sure. And as a general rule, these billionaires don't just sit on their money, they invest in other ventures, which honestly helps the entire cycle of innovation not only to continue, but also to expand.
This system that we live in, life in capitalism, always ends in billionaires. If you don't do it, someone else will. It's who decides to make that choice is kind of just up to, circumstance. But this thing that we live in starves people. And that's why we have to fight for an advanced society. And for that, I am called a radical. I am called every name in the book. But I just happen to have the view that humanity has lived in many systems and many ways that we organized our society. We have lived through monarchy. We have lived through slaveocracy. We have lived, in the times and societies that our ancestors established and were decimated. But all of this is temporary. Mercantilism is temporary. Slaveocracy evolved into Jim Crow, evolved into American apartheid. But I believe that mercantilism was temporary. And King talked about this too. When we talk about King, no one talks about the dangerous king. No one talks about the anti-capitalist king. No one talks about the anti-poverty king. And I believe that where we are right now are at the edges of an untenable system that is starting to crack.
Wow, she's so enlightened. Oh my god. But no, out of all the economic systems anyone has ever tried, capitalism is undoubtedly the best one for raising the standard of living amongst entire populations while also respecting personal freedoms and liberties. That's the beauty of it. That's why it's amazing. AOC would have you believe that more government control of industry is the answer, and for a time, okay, it might not be terrible, but eventually, over time, slowly, the more power you give the government, the more tyranny you're going to have. If you look at most examples of countries that practice socialism versus capitalism, socialism blows capitalism out of the park when it comes to deaths and infringement on basic human rights, okay? Government cannot be trusted with the power that communism and socialism allow it to have. That's just a fact. And to your point about King, yes, King was more socialistic than capitalist, and well, that's completely fine. I still don't agree with that assessment, and just because King agrees more with socialist policies doesn't make them inherently better. But that's the beauty of it, we can agree to disagree there. So that's going to be it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and if AOC is crazy, or if I'm just not woke enough to understand her policy well enough. But anyways, guys, take care, and I'll see you all later.